Hello, my name is Dr. Maya Byfield. My business is The Phenomenal STEMist. I'm so excited to be here in Orange County because it's where I live. I live in Apopka, Florida. And I decided to make this business because I saw a need for underrepresented students to be successful in STEM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, math. And the best way I can do that is just provide products for parents to prepare them, whether it's a book or online STEM camps or just video podcasting. My goal is to transform this community, especially those who are underrepresented. And the way to do that is to help parents understand their children's minds and basically develop them at different stages of their lives to be prepared for a successful STEM career. Thank you so much. That's why I'm here. Hey, 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 hey.
What's good, Doc? What's good?
What's good? What's good, Brandon? We are live.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for watching, you all. I am with B4 Closes. He's back in the house to have a great conversation.
Here to serve. I like that disclaimer in the beginning. That's a nice touch. That's a nice touch. Nice
you know,
touch.
listen. We're just here to serve. We're here to serve
Amen.
and share from our experiences. And I always have with me people who have wealth of experience. And so I'm honored to have you with me to just discuss rental properties, specifically what we talk discuss real estate all quarter long. So
Hmm.
this is the second month of the quarter, y'all.
I
We've been
love
doing
it.
some damage. We got one
I
more.
love it. I love it.
Yeah. So how you doing?
Trying to keep up. Trying to keep up. Things are changing. Just to give you a little bit of the latest, greatest. We've seen interest rates creep up. Banks were
8%.
offering it to 8, yep, and
Whew.
then we've seen them creep back a little bit.
Yeah.
They went down like a quarter of a point, back down to
Okay.
775. So, I'm looking at this, I'm like, that's a very interesting trend. And then you read all kinds of articles about people actually moving out of Florida to colder states like South Carolina and Denver in some cases. So it's a very dynamic market right now. And I'm just like, I'm a part of it, but I'm also a spectator.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
So,
it's weird to watch. It's interesting to watch. It's
yeah, yeah,
interesting to
yeah, yeah,
watch.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
one of our mutual friends, Howard, he lives in Colorado, and he's always talked about that market in Colorado. This that's a hot market over there. Um, I need to
Oh,
go
yeah.
there,
Oh,
visit him.
yeah. I mean, ever since they swept the Lakers, man, they've just been real estate just been popping off, man. I don't understand.
Whatever, get out of here, man.
Ah, all right.
Well, we're talking about rental properties, specifically the pros and cons. So as you know, as y'all out there know, well, actually, let me do some homework first. I was saying in the chat in phenomenal financial freedom today, show
Mhm.
that my book sales have gone up. So just to
Mm.
remind y'all,
I love it.
listen, phenomenal
I
Status is on
love
Amazon
it.
right now. I guess people are just appreciating the ministry and they just getting some books. So listen, it's on Amazon right now. Feel free to join. I mean, go there and cop a book. Give to your kids, give to your cousins, give to your children, give to your grandkids,
Yep,
give to your
yep, yep,
nephews.
yep, yep. Hurry up. It's Christmas season. It looks great in wrapping paper.
Come
Make it
on,
happen.
make it happen.
Make it happen. Yes,
It's the
ma'am.
gift that keeps on giving. You
Oh,
give your kids financial stability. They can take care of you when you get older.
that's a great Thanksgiving talk around the holidays. You know what I'm saying? Make it
Yeah,
happen. Get it
you
in
get
your. Listen, I
it.
know Maya. When my kid comes of age, we're gonna snatch up the opportunity to learn at the STEMIS feet. We're
All
gonna we're gonna
right.
make sure we get my son all the way acclimated in one of her courses when he is of age. You heard it
Absolutely
here
awesome.
first.
Awesome. Appreciate that, Brandon.
Of course.
Yeah, educate your kids. Phenomenal STEM year, STEM camp. All
Mhm.
right, so here we go. Back to my original point.
Mhm.
I believe in diversification. I believe in the stock market has its place, but I don't have all my money in the stock market.
Okay.
I have my money in investing in my business.
Okay.
Uh, uh, I have money in the equity of my home, but
Okay.
I am just deciding. You convinced me last month. You said,
Okay.
okay, it's time to start considering rental
Yes,
property.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
what are the pros and cons? So, there's always great things that you can say about it that convince me, but I want to know the pros and cons of rental properties. And you could go any way you want to angle it.
Okay.
You want to do the cons first? You want to do the Good news, the bad news first before the good news. The good news first before the bad news. Whatever you want
Listen, I'm a give me bad news quickly kind of guy.
to
That's what I tell my folks. I'm like, anyone working for me, man, I need the bad news right away. I don't
say.
care how
Okay.
you feeling about it. So we'll start with that. We'll do a top five for each,
Okay.
right? I'm gonna do this based on a little bit about my own experiences and a little bit about what the general cons are based on what you'll hear in a group of people that own lots of properties or a few.
Mm-hmm.
I think number one on the cons list
Number one on the cons
is
list.
at the tippity top. Actually, no, we're not gonna start at number one. I ain't gonna. No, no, no. We gonna make y'all wait for it. We gonna make y'all wait for it, man.
Start
We
with
gonna start.
five.
Yes, we're gonna start at five. Number five, cons of real estate um, investment. Number five is repairs.
Ooh.
Repairs.
Repair is five on the list. Is the
Mhm.
mercy.
Repairs is number five. Here's the thing about repairs. Um, some are big, some are small. But the thing that trips people up the most are the folks that don't have the money to make them. And when you
Mm-hmm.
don't have the money to make repairs, you make yourself out to be with unmistakable, not on purpose, but your tenants start seeing you as somewhat of a slumlord.
Slumlord. Yeah. Yeah.
Now that's like a bad word, in the real estate community. Once you're labeled with that,
It's
it's
over.
like it's up there, y'all, and it's hard to get rid of that label. Um,
Mm. Wow.
but it's important for you to have some reserves put aside for repairs. Now, when you buy a property, the good news is you do get some reserves. If it's already rented, you inherit a deposit, which you have to keep in a security deposit, or rather a savings account. I would um, I would recommend a non-interest bearing saving account. Otherwise, you have to split the interest earnings with the tenant because you earn money on their
On their
deposit.
security.
Right.
Wow. That's good wisdom right there. Thank you.
Right. So non-interest bearing. You also inherit, rent for that month. It's prorated. And the good news is you don't have to pay your mortgage in most cases for 45 days when you close. So you get to keep a month and a half of rent that you can store away and use that to set aside for repairs. Collect an extra 10% from the rent that you get every month, squirrel it aside because the repairs will come. Winter is coming, they will
Winter is
come.
coming.
That's it. So
And
that's the
tenants know how to complain about problems.
they know how to complain about their problems, man. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So I would say repairs is number five. Number four
Okay.
on the list of cons, and that would be the market. These are things that happen outside of your control, right? So rents can go down, rents can go up. Things could happen to your overall marketplace that makes it. For instance, I'll give you a quick story. Um, there is a while ago when I was back in Miami.
Mhm.
Um, there was a time back in 2008 that when the market had done its thing and a lot of people left Miami.
Mm.
And many of those people left Miami out of sheer fear. It's a really transient kind of town. And people that over leverage themselves, many of them just left their
Left
homes.
the
Yeah.
foreclosure. Yeah, I
Just
remember.
left it, just left their foreclosures. Many of them were from other countries. They refinanced their home and they left the city.
Yeah.
Some of them left with furniture all in the house,
Yeah. Yeah.
their pets and everything. So
Ugh, mercy.
when you have a lot of inventory, what happens to the prices?
It plummets.
That's right. That's right.
Wow.
And when you have
And
a
it
lot
goes
of that,
underwater.
It can go underwater. So sometimes market conditions just that's just you have no control over that. How do you fight against it, or rather protect yourself against that? Well, they're the only real protection against fluctuating markets is to just have your own reserves. You know, the money that you're getting from these rents, that 10% will help you for reserves. But number one, if you can, pay off the mortgage as quickly as you can,
And then it won't matter if it's underwater because it
and then
doesn't
it won't
matter.
matter if it's underwater. Right? You can pay a little extra if you want. For those of you that want to play it kind of fast and loose, make sure that the people you have in there are are employed well and you know what? I'm not going to go out on a limb and say you should only employ people from a particular industry. But if you're renting to nurses, for the most part, you're going to be okay. If you're renting to police officers, if you're renting to a teacher, if you're renting to even Section 8 tenants for some degree, provide some form of
Stability.
stability. You know, these are some things you might want to think of when you're making your selection when it comes to tenants.
Yeah.
So I would say number four is market conditions. Number three we're getting there, but I guess we can name it right now. Let's say tenants.
Mm.
Tenants
Mercy.
is number three. I'll give you a quick story.
My mother always talked about tenants. Though my mother always talked about tenants. Though we've had my mother, and I have both rented to people in our own homes, like rented out rooms, rented out like spaces,
Hmm.
and we've had always had good tenants. And my
Praise the
mother said
Lord.
that's the grace of God. But she's like, she's heard horror stories, and she's like, she's nervous about rental properties because of it. Tell me about some stories
Oh
from you.
man, listen, man. I won't take up too much of your time here on this show, but I got some doozies. Listen, quick question, or quick, real quick story. Again, in Miami, all my rental horror stories come out of Miami. So, number one, I say this with some degree of trepidation because I don't want to give anyone any ideas. But there was a particular landlord that I used to help find properties for back in 2004 or five, somewhere in there. And he told me a story about a tenant that he once had. Um, they are they hadn't paid rent for to him in like 6 months,
Oh, that's terrible.
and he's been
That's
trying
terrible.
to evict them.
Evict them. You can't evict them.
Yeah, the young lady, some tenants are pretty savvy. They know the laws very well, especially if you have a squatter. That's a whole nother story. But that's the other thing. Excuse me. But in any case, so he had an idea. He found out that these folks were unusually superstitious. So what he did was he showed up to the house. He let them know, "Hey, I'm just here to spray, praying for bugs." So they let him do his thing. But the water he was spraying a mixture of water and sugar all over the house, all across the outside, the roof,
Ants are
everything.
coming everywhere. Ants
The
are coming.
ants came, the bumblebees came, all types, all manner of insects came to this house. And he said, Brandon, there was bugs all on the walls, all on the windows, all on the roof. And he waited about a week and a half. And when he came to that house, those tenants were gone. They left the door open and everything. You just
That's the
went in
way.
there. Oh man! Like I said, I'm not giving anybody any
Hey,
ideas.
hey,
Do
y'all
not
out there.
attempt this.
If you have any squatters,
Oh
you want to get
man!
them out. Spray your house with sugar.
But that's the situation.
Wow.
That's what happened.
But
So,
now, but then now he has to get rid of all those insects.
well, what he did was, and when he found out that they had left, the very next day he just got just regular spray of water, sprayed them all down, sprayed down the sugar water
Sugar away.
as much as possible, and the bugs never
Went
came
away.
back. He
Wow.
cleaned out the place and he re-rented it in the same month. That was it.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's a con, that can be a con, a bad, I would say just tenants, but bad tenants, irresponsible tenants.
irresponsible tenants. Yeah.
Irresponsible tenants.
Yep,
Okay.
yep, yep. Okay, so number two, on the flip side of tenants, the bad tenants, you have squatters. And that's really the
Uh,
real fear for most people. Aside
yeah.
from tenants, people getting in your property and saying that they're not leaving.
Mm.
That's high up there. Once I sold a home with a squatter in there, and he was taking advantage of the person that owned the property. The property owner was in a nursing home. He had
Oh,
basically lost the ability to take care of himself mentally.
oh,
So
man.
he had to give the state of Miami, or the state of Miami, the city of Miami had to step in and award, and they got awarded guardianship.
Who's they got a who got
And
award? Who
I
got awarded guardianship?
the
Oh,
Miami,
the state did. Okay,
the
yeah, yeah,
county,
yeah,
the state
yeah.
of Miami,
Yeah.
city of Miami got awarded guardianship. And I used to, because I was their realtor, I would help them sell those properties from people that just can't take care of themselves.
Aw.
So they sold it for money to help with their care. And someone had moved in to the property, understanding who the person was, and he said that he had a lease, and he actually put together
A fake lease?
a fraudulent lease. Yeah.
Jesus.
Moved right into the property. They told me who he was. His name, I got to the property, and I knocked on the door, and he had on a robe. And he said, "Hey, you're the realtor, right?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Come on in, come on in." He let me come in and take pictures, like it was his actual house. It was crazy. So squatters is a thing. Many
Oh
of
my
them know the
God.
laws. So when you get inside, when you own a property, just make sure everything is secured, locks, the whole 9 yards. If you can put a camera on there, please do. The first 30 days of someone squatting your property are the most important, because squatters laws in most counties are 30 days, and then you have to give them the rights to remain there until you get them out legally. I-
Jesus.
If they are in the property for longer than a month, squatters' rights do kick in. So that's the thing. But if you catch them before that time, you can have them leave. You can call the police. You can have the locks changed. You can write up a police
Wow.
report so that the next time they come, there's already a record of them doing this, and it'll be a lot easier to get them out.
So let me get this straight. Any abandoned house that out there, I could just go in and start living in, and if I live in there for 30 days without the owner knowing, I can claim squatters' rights and live
Yes,
there for
ma'am.
until somebody gets me out.
Until somebody gets you out. Yep. They
So
they
what?
they they put a show about this, actually. There was an actual show about a couple
Mm.
that would go into abandoned mansions, and they just moved right in, and they knew, squatters laws, and people thought they'd masquerade themselves as the new owners or the new renters.
Yeah.
That was an actual TV show.
Well,
So
people need to start when when all these houses going in foreclosures. They might need to get them a house. Oh my goodness,
man,
it's crazy.
it's a crazy
That's a
situation.
serious con. That's a scary con. So get you. I guess the answer would be to make sure you're always on top of your properties. That you're never
Yes,
just letting it just go.
get
And that
yourself a
that
property
should go for
manager.
that goes for land too.
Mm.
Doesn't that go for land? Like people could just
People
set up
can.
property up in your land.
It doesn't happen as often as homes, but depending
Yeah.
on where you are, yeah, that could, if you have farmland, people could just roll up and start, you know, and they have certain laws in certain states. Each state is different. But
Hmm.
in some states, if you've owned and operated inside of a property for longer than a certain amount of time, I think for some is 7 years, for others is 10. But if you've been there for a certain amount of time, you can actually claim ownership over the property and become the new owner of that property. That could happen.
Wow, wow, wow. Okay, okay. All right.
Squatters, man.
Woo.
Squatters,
Squatters.
squatters,
Number
squatters.
two. So okay, what could be worse than squatters? Card number one.
Number one, county and or state laws slash code violations. That's
Ooh.
number one. Why is it number one? Because Once they have a violation on your property and it turns into a lien,
Lean.
that
Yeah.
interest is tacking on every single day. And it
Mercy.
is not an easy thing to get off. You have to have the property inspected for whatever it is they wrote you a violation for.
Wow.
And they have, in some counties, if you own multiple properties under one name, if you have a lien attached to one property, they do, I forget what it's called, but the same lien can attach to all your properties. So they make sure that you pay it off regardless of what property you sell. If you decide to sell any one of your other properties instead of dealing with that one, they'll attach the lien to all the properties under that one name. So you have to pay the lien no matter what you're doing with your properties.
Wow.
So it could be a thing. My advice on that would be to, number one, know the if when you find out that it's a violation, handle it.
Handle
Handle
it
it,
immediately.
handle it, handle it. If you let those people put it in lien status, it's I wouldn't
So
say
what are
it's
some
game over,
what are
but it
some
takes time.
violations? What are some violations? See, I like that. This is important. People want to get into investments, but they don't even know what's going on, right? They don't know squatters laws. Squatters right people know more about real estate law than you. You just trying to
Mhm.
get a buck.
That's
So
it.
listen, if you're trying to get involved in real estate investments, it's not about just making money. You might as well just put money in the REIT, a real estate trust or something.
They
If
could
you
do
want to
that.
get involved in real estate rental properties, you got to go to know the rules. So, like, what are some rules that usually get broken?
I mean, it could be as small as tall grass. Um, and when I say tall, I mean criminally tall. Like
Okay,
it hasn't been cut in a while. They'll
yeah,
cite you for that.
gotcha.
Um, roofs are a common one.
Mm,
Uh, anything that you could see, anything that they could see from their car, because they can't get in your property without your knowledge. But they can certainly see what they could see from their car. They can certainly see what they could see from the sky. They have drones,
mm-hmm,
and whatever they can catch, they'll cite you for. There are some folks out there that will put a swimming pool in their backyard, not supposed to be there, and they
mm-hmm,
can see it
hmm.
from the road. They'll cite you for that.
Gotcha.
I got a client right now that put a bathroom in his property, and somehow the city got caught wind of it. I think someone called it in or whatever the case is, but now he has to basically take the bathroom out. He has to take out all the fixtures and everything
Why?
else because he never got permits to put a
Mm,
bathroom in there.
okay.
So,
So you need to you need to get permit anytime you remodel your house.
you need to get a permit for that for a bathroom because that requires plumbing, electrical work.
Got you.
That's a serious remodel, so you have to get permits for that. But basic stuff like painting, replacing a kitchen, you don't need permits for that. But if you're replacing a roof, if you're adding a room, yes, yes, yes.
Guys, you got to know the rules.
Gotta know the rules.
Gotta know the rules. Like you can't just do whatever you want with
Like,
whatever you think. Oh, I can do whatever I want in my house. Obviously, we can't. So gotta know the rules, or
yeah,
else you'll be in
man.
con number one. You don't want to get a lien on your property. Okay. All
Mm-mm.
right. Enough with the sob stories. I'm ready for the hot news.
Remember some good news?
Yeah, give me some good news, please. I'm ready for the good news. Good news, ain't that good news? Come on,
Yes,
let's
ma'am.
go.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right.
Row number 5.
Pros number 5. Number 5, and this is arguable. So you might get you could challenge my list. Maybe you would think, hey, that's not number 5. I think that's number 2 or 1
Listen,
or
I
whatever the
trust you.
case
I
is.
trust you. I trust you. I don't have no argument here. I'm not the expert. Go ahead.
All right. So number 5 would be tax breaks.
Yes.
Tax breaks.
Hello.
So I am not a CPA. Let me just say that right now. I'm not a
Me neither.
CPA.
I'm a scientist.
There you go. Yes, ma'am. I sell property. I do not calculate taxes, but I am privy to, by way of just selling a lot of these properties and dealing with people that have multiple properties, some of the things that they have done to not only lower their tax liability, but also get tax refunds from some of the things that they've done. everything you spend in a rental property, if you have an LLC that has a designation for real estate or property management, everything you spend there can be written off. Everything. And that will help you with your income, everything that you write off that you spent on the property, that if whatever income you gather from that property, you can use it against that so that you don't have to pay so much. Um, real estate in a real estate property, you can write off just about anything. You can write off repairs, you can write off mortgage interest. There's depreciative interest you can write off. Um, there's just a lot of things there. Now, taxes can work against you based on how you own it and when you sell it. So that's a whole different story. Um, but there are some things that you could do to get money out of your property without you having to worry about taxes. Like when you do a home equity line of credit, you get a home equity line of credit that's completely tax free. Refinancing your home, tax free. So these are some things that a lot of investors use there to get around certain things. So I would say that's a huge benefit. That's a good number five.
I'm all about reducing my taxes, especially
Hmm.
what's going on in the world today, where I'm just so totally adamantly against what people use my tax dollars for. The less taxes I
Mm.
pay, the better. That's how I'm thinking.
That's a whole
Tax
other
breaks
discussion right
number
there.
five. Tax breaks number five. Yeah, we're not gonna move. We're gonna move on. Pro number four.
Number four, come on, all about the money.
Let's
Rental
income.
income.
Let's go.
Come on, come on.
Let's
Now,
go.
you got to get your numbers right when you do property. Your numbers have to be right. Figure out your mortgage, your taxes, your insurance, and anything extra that you need to pay on the property. If you're investing in a condo, you better add those HOA fees. If you're investing in a home that's in an association, better add those HOA fees. But on average, it's those three things. And of course, what we talked about before, 10% set aside. That's the norm. 10% set aside for your overall repair money.
Mm-hmm.
And everything on top of that is basically yours. On a duplex, you can expect to make anywhere between, I'd say between 6 to 12 on a
Six to twelve
triplex.
hundred. Six
Six to
to
twelve
twelve
hundred.
hundred dollars a month.
Yes, ma'am. And that depends on the size of your bedroom sizes,
Mm-hmm.
how many bedrooms you have, etc. Triplexes can be anywhere from say 1,000 to I'd say 1,800, maybe even 2,000, depending on where you buy it. So, like I said before, the more doors, the better. The
More
more
doors.
doors, the better. Get you all kinds of doors. And if you're paying anywhere around 100,000 per unit, you're going to be just fine. Just fine. If you can get lower than that, the lower under 100,000, you're doing great. You're
You're
doing
doing
great.
great.
Yeah, anywhere in
You're doing
Central
great.
Florida. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, you do. You get a house for $300,000, 3 bedroom, three doors, and you're making between $8,000 and $12,000 a year, guys,
Well, when
extra.
when I say doors, I mean units. I don't mean doors in the house.
Yeah, he
I'm
means units. He means units. He
Yes,
means
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
he means a triplex has three
Yeah.
doors to enter into that unit with multiple doors in there, bathroom doors and
Yes.
bedroom doors and closet doors. Come
Yes.
on, y'all.
Yes. Yes.
Let's
No, no,
make that money, y'all. Let's
no.
make that income, y'all.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The income is number four, right? Oh, no.
Yes.
So that
Yes.
number three, number three, number three, number three, number
The
three.
three, number three.
Appreciation. Appreciation.
Appreciation.
And I'm not talking about overall gratitude for your properties. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate the property.
Right?
I appreciate this office.
No, ma'am. I am talking about cold hard equity.
Equity.
Cold hard equity. Now, there are
Yeah.
some caveats. you have to have decent credit to access your equity. You
Mhm.
just have to. Whether you're doing a refi or you're doing a home equity line of credit, you have to have at least a 650 to be able to
Mhm.
access your equity without selling it. Obviously, you don't need a credit, and you can have good or bad credit to sell your
Sell
property.
your house, but you don't
Yeah,
need that.
yeah. So that's depending on your strategy, then you might want to look into these things. But that's the three ways that I know of to get equity out of your house. You can equity line of credit it out, you can refi it out, or you can sell it out. But I would say appreciation is a nice number three.
I just make people understand. You buy a house this year at 300,000, and 2 years from now, 5 years from now, is worth 600,000. You have doubled your equity.
Hmm.
You can then, if you have good credit, borrow some of that money, maybe take $100,000 out and get 10 more doors. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just and then
No,
just
but keep that going. That's a hundred
listen.
percent right. That's 100%
Yes.
right.
I'm getting it. I'm getting it, Brandon. You're making it clear to me. But
Look,
you can only
man.
do, and it's tax free. These listen.
Yes.
This is how these people do it, guys. But you got to know the rules. That's the key thing. You got to know the rules.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to know the rules. Just like Monopoly, just like any game you play, you must know the rules. Some of us,
Yeah.
when I played Monopoly, I tried to buck the rules. I always tried to negotiate my way out of stuff, right? But the rules are the name of the game. Gotta know the rules.
Gotta know the rules. Gotta know the rules.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Pro number two.
Getting close. Pro number two.
Getting
Man, I'm
close.
I'm kind of torn because I don't know if I should put this one in number two or number one, to be honest with you. But I guess I'll put it in number two. And you talked about this a little bit, and that's diversification.
Diversification. Yes.
Diversification. Real estate is a great vehicle to get into for diversification. This is the reason why you have many hedge funds now that are getting into the real estate game because the returns are unreal.
Yeah.
You can't make 24 and 25% returns on stock in most cases.
You can't.
And even if you
Maybe in the
do,
past few, maybe in the past 20 years, because it was crazy. Since
mhm,
'09 has been crazy, but of now is very difficult.
the truth about it is that there are very few opportunities out there
Yeah.
that'll allow you to get that on a consistent basis. And here's the thing. The reason why, part of the reason why is because the risk is a bit high.
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors regarding real estate you can't control on your own. Marketplace, people involved in the transaction, the property itself. So, I mean, if you're already killing it like Doc, you know what I'm saying? You got your stuff in stock, you got your business. Why not stabilize yourself and get yourself some property?
Come
Get
on.
yourself some property, y'all. Now, you might do great in your business and things might go the way it's supposed to. But you could take some of that income, you can invest it in some real estate dollars and benefit off the tax benefits.
Ba-
Tax
it's
benefits.
it's the tax benefits that's really great. Yeah, really
So
is.
help you with that money. Now the diversification, and again, it depends on who you are, how much money you have, your particular situation. Maybe you're not ready to diversify. Maybe it makes sense for you to sit tight and grow your money a little more until you're ready to make the switch over. And when you do diversify and you decide to come in and get yourself some property, the next question is that you should ask yourself is, should I do hands off like a REIT, or should I get in and get my own property? Obviously, you'll make more if you had your own property. A
Hmm.
REIT pays you less interest so that they can do what you, would be doing if you had your own way to get your own property. The bottom line is they take on all the risk so that you can be stable.
Yeah. So you don't get the reward.
That's it. That's it. So
Hmm.
Diversification, beautiful way to do it. That's how the big boys do it. And number one,
Number one. Number one. Come on.
I don't know if you're ready for this one, Doc. I don't know if you're ready for this one.
I'm
I
ready.
don't
I'm
know if
ready.
you're
I'm
ready. I don't know
ready.
if you're ready.
Pro number one is
The portfolio. The
portfolio.
strength of the portfolio. Listen, man, a
I gotta put the
property. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I gotta put strength of the. I gotta put that in there.
Okay,
I
okay,
gotta
okay,
put that. I gotta put
okay,
that in there.
okay,
Strength of the
okay,
portfolio.
okay,
What is
okay, okay, okay. So Monopoly tried to learn us a few things.
Yeah.
Tried
That
to.
corner, get had that whole corner. Remember? Look at that whole corner. I used to
Yeah.
have like Oriental. Like I'm gonna get you. No matter you, just roll the dice. I'm gonna get
Uh-huh.
you here. I'm gonna get you here. So you
And
might as well just. I used to
ooh,
love that game. I tell you, I love playing that game.
people just be praying. They just be praying when they get close to Maya's corner, man. They just
That
be
corner.
praying. Oh yeah, man. The portfolio can do wonders for you. Monopoly tried to teach us that
Hmm.
the strength isn't in having one or two houses, but if you have four houses, you leverage that and you can get yourself a hotel.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You could just keep your four homes and continue collecting, right?
Hmm.
But the idea is to get you a hotel. That's how you win in Monopoly. The same thing is with real estate. Many investors that wind up with, they always start small, 4 or 5 single family homes.
Hmm.
They leverage the 4 or 5 and they get themselves a big building. And then they get a couple big buildings. And then they leverage that and they get themselves maybe a small rental community.
Wow.
And they just keep going from there, right?
Listen, do
That's
we dream like this? Like Brandon, like do we dream like this? I feel like so many people in our community are just living in consumer mindsets. Like what you just said to me was like it's such a big dream.
hmm.
And it's so attainable if more of us I wish we would all dream like that. More of us would dream like that.
Doc, it's a mixture of things. I had this guy, I just rented one of my units just this past week, and the tenant was in there. He loves this house, man. He's like, "Man, I want to own this house from you. In the long run, I want to go ahead and do a rent to own. Would you let me have it?" I'm like, "All right, slow down." In the back of my head, I'm like, the numbers are against you that you'll actually do that because I know most of the time tenants don't wind up buying the houses they live in. But I'm just hearing him out. I'm like, okay, okay, we can definitely talk about it. And we just got into discussion, and we were talking about his family. And he said, 10 years ago, in the block that he rented from, his mother used to live in one of the homes. She was renting from a house like 2 or 3 houses down, and she moved out of this house. And a few years later, 5, 10 years later, she found out that she could have bought that home, the same home she was living in, because the owner wanted to sell it to her for $14,000.
Ugh.
$14,000. But because we just didn't know, she just moved out. Like she actually moved out because the rents were too high. Her landlord was hiring the rent on her, and she wanted to go someplace else that's less expensive. So she left the whole house. And we were just
$14,000.
talking about it. $14,000 10 years ago in the same neighborhood he's renting in. Same home is now worth, well, it's not the same as when I rented, but it's assuming it's more or less the same. Homes are selling now for about $200,000 in the same neighborhood. Now, if she would have bought that house for 14 and just held on to it for just 8 years and sold it, she'd have made over $100,000 without any issues. No issues at all.
Where was I 10 years ago and I didn't know about the houses for 14,000? Because I know, like, I have that kind of money in my Roth IRA. I could have raised 14,000. Like, wow. I feel like we don't ever know, Brandon. We know too late.
Oh
I
man,
could have had,
okay.
I had $14,000 10 years ago. 10
Check it
years
out.
ago was 2013. I
It,
bought this house. I bought this house in 2013.
okay.
I could
Okay.
have. I could have. I could have. I didn't know there was a house going for $14,000. They don't be telling us this stuff
No,
until
they
late.
no one. You're not. Listen, there's no one's coming to save us, Doc.
No one is coming to save us, y'all. We gotta do the research. We
Got
gotta
to.
do our homework. We gotta know the rules, and we gotta dream.
hmm I'm gonna tell you something that I learned that I always keep dear to my heart, and that is there's a 2008 happening somewhere. And
Yeah,
I don't mean a crash or anything that drastic, but as far as like recession
opportunity.
prices, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
It's happening right now somewhere else. Somewhere else is where that property was 10 years ago right now.
yeah.
And all you have to do is just have your eyes, your ears out there, your contacts and all that so that you can find out about it and be there when it happens so that 10 years from now you won't be singing this story.
Word, word. And we're not gonna do that when we're distracted with all kinds of foolishness. We only can have our eyes and our ears open when we're focused on good things like this. Get
Mm-mm.
off the TikTok and all this foolishness and the reality shows and just all this foolishness. We just so
Mm,
distracted
mm,
with
mm,
all
mm.
this foolishness. Meanwhile, there's a house somewhere selling
For
in
$14,008.
2008. Man,
Oh, man.
man,
They're out there, doc. They're out there. I don't know
they're
where
out
they
there.
are in Florida, but they're out there, you just have to, again, you have to have your ear to the streets.
Yeah,
Maybe our next segment should be where to find homes for under $50,000. Now, that is something I'd actually be more interested in finding out just for myself. I'll do the
yeah.
research.
Let's go. Let's do the research and
I'll do
talk
the
about it
research myself.
Let's go.
I
Let's
will do the
go.
research. Um, but yeah, just getting back to the point of the matter, um, look, at some point you have to be willing to sacrifice the time to get yourself, like you said, out from under those distractions and
Yeah,
reinvest your time and attention into something that you know will help you, your family, and your grandkids and all of that to come.
let's go.
So yeah.
Guys, it's been an awesome conversation. And I just really, really appreciate you before closes. Just to remind you guys, you can find him at before closes at gmail.com. His phone number is 305-305-0105.
Mhm,
He
mhm,
has his
mhm.
ears to the streets, y'all. He has his focus. He has his focus in. He's doing his research. So please, please, if you're thinking about the pros of rental properties and dreaming big, please contact this man. He will be
Website
here
coming.
next month. Yeah,
Website
website
coming.
coming.
Yes,
Website
ma'am.
coming.
Yes,
Let's
ma'am.
go.
Website
Let's go.
coming. Podcast coming.
Let's
I'm taking
go.
I'm taking some I'm taking some notes out your book. You said get that content out there. You've been hitting us over
Listen.
the head with that. I'm like, you know what, Doc? Okay. Okay.
Listen, I'm telling you, my royalties for my book jumped 300%. I've just been doing
Woo!
ain't a lot of money,
Man.
but it's money in my pocket. It's money in my
Okay.
business account, and it just came from just putting out more content. Come on, let's stop wasting time on foolishness and let's start making assets, not liabilities.
Oh
Listen,
man.
I
Yes,
am the
ma'am.
phenomenal STEMist, and so is he. Thank you so much. Before
Here to
closes.
serve.
Good night, everybody.